Good morning, welcome to the Barrel Roll Newscast for January 11th, 2020.
Today we're talking the Pokemon Direct.
We've got updates on New Mutants.
And updates on Doctor Strange.
We'll talk to you guys soon. We'll let you know what it is. Bye. See you.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome to the big Shoe Barrel Roll
Newscast.
Shoe Barrel.
Shoe Barrel. Barrel shoe.
Let's put a pin in that title for something.
Shoe Barrel?
Yeah. Put a pin in that.
What were we... There was some game that was coming out, and it was like, we have to...
the barrel.
Yeah, we have to, like, resuscitate bottom of the barrel. This thing was
You
so
said a whole
bad.
bunch.
Everything.
Whole bunch of
There's a
Rambo.
lot of bad games.
Rambo.
Oh, Rambo, yeah, because we were looking at the worst games of the decade, and it's like we should do like a bottom of the barrel special for the year of like the worst games of the last decade. The problem is you have to find them.
Yes, and the library, as effective as it is, it's not very good sometimes.
Like, and that's the piece, is like I would buy them because they're 5 cents, because they're junk. But
Yeah,
a lot of those publishers even like
pull
them because it's like,
well, I mean,
it's just costing us money to leave on a...
And I mean, you just look at Transformers, for example. Like, there's so many good Transformers games that you just can't buy anymore.
Sure. There's
like,
a lot of good
games. Like the first couple of ones, the first Cybertron ones, the Platinum one, whatever, the cartoony style looking.
Yeah.
That was you can't buy that one anymore. I'm like, that was a good good ass Platinum combat game.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
I'm Nick.
I'm Tony.
I'm Chris.
Where we talk about movies and news. And games and news.
And games and news. And news.
And news.
And news.
And just news.
And news.
And things. Hi, welcome to the show. How you guys doing, guys?
Sure.
Sure?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Back at work this week.
Yeah, you guys back to the... Okay, was
school.
it literally just one day on Friday that they went back to school for? Or
No.
Okay.
The whole week.
Yeah, we went back
Okay,
Monday.
'cause-
Monday,
I wasn't sure.
Friday.
I wasn't...
We didn't go back last Friday. We went back Monday.
Okay, I wasn't sure. We were driving past and like, we'll see you guys back on Friday. On like, because I was driving past the school, and the sign said, we'll see you guys on Friday. I'm like, wait, so they only gave them one day back to school?
Most schools would be Monday to Friday. There are some schools, either the year-longs or the ones that like dictate their own. Because some schools go with different times because they want to.
Because I was looking at, and I was thinking it was the mid-week New Year's thing, because New Year's Eve was like the Tuesday, New Year's was the Wednesday, New Year's was Thursday, so Friday would have been the first day back kind of thing.
Nope.
I don't know. We just drove past that, and I'm like, what?
It could have been that particular school.
Yes,
but yeah.
I don't know.
It could have been. Either way,
yes.
Let's get into this.
Let's jump.
Do we want to save the Pokemon one for the end?
Sure.
Because it's kind of the
it's
meatier
it's
piece.
the biggest.
Yeah,
There's
it's
a
meatier.
lot of stuff to.
All right, so New
unpack.
Mutants.
New Mutants is a movie. It's a movie. It's still a movie.
Unfortunately.
Yes. So excited. Okay. So a couple
Most
things.
disappointing thing of the year.
Yeah,
New
my
Mutants not
disappointment
coming.
is coming
Okay.
true.
So a couple things to take apart from this. Scott. No.
That's the next thing.
Yes, that's the next one. Sorry, the director. Can't think of his name right now.
No,
off the
I
top of my
can't
head.
either.
The guy who put together New Mutants.
Originally.
The original director for New Mutants, who did all of the filming and all of that stuff.
Oh, like a director's piece.
Yeah.
He did the director stuff for it. He was on social media last week saying like, guys, like this, like my version of New Mutants, my version, no like reshoots or anything. It's coming out. Like Disney has okayed his original film.
Probably the best version.
It probably is the best version.
Yeah, well, because they did all those reshoots, and then everybody was afraid because it's like, what are we
They're
doing?
adding scary scenes to it.
So really, it should have came out sooner if this is what they're doing.
Well, so apparently one of the pieces is it kind of might now tie into MCU-ish type stuff, maybe.
I thought I saw something that said it wasn't going to.
It can though, because one of the mutants has the ability to pass through portals in different dimensions.
So that was part of what they're saying the reshoots were, and even the director goes like the minimal, because they did make changes, but the minimal changes they made were to make it more in line with probably going to be able to fit into the MCU if it needs to at a specific time.
And I guess the original reshoots the big ones were like, this didn't test well with audiences. It wasn't scary enough. We're going to add more horror scenes to it.
But like a regular reshoot.
But there was one of the super mutants in the New Mutants that has the ability. I think it's Colossus's daughter making.
Which one is that? I looked at those characters and I'm like, I have no idea who you are.
The one from
Game
of Thrones. She turns into a werewolf.
Does she?
Yeah, that's her thing.
Good for her.
The one from Stranger Things. Can't remember his name.
Oh, the older brother.
Yeah,
Jonathan.
He's I think he's Cannonball.
That's Cannonball.
Yeah. I think I think he's Cannonball.
Weird.
Sunspot or Sunfire. I can't remember his name.
Here we go.
He explodes in fire. Essentially, he's like a Human Torch kind of thing. One of his abilities is that he can like shoot fire bolts. Okay. And the other girl,
Maisie Williams is playing Wolfsbane.
Wolfsbane, that's the word. Yeah, so she can transform into a wolf.
Anna Taylor-Joy is playing Magic with a K at the end.
So Magic is the one. She's probably going to be like the main character because she's the one that can kind of peer into your visions and dreams. And so that's part of the trailer that dropped this week.
She's not the blonde one.
No.
IMDb is useless.
No, she's the Hispanic one in the trailer. Okay. And the white-haired one.
The blonde one.
Yeah, the blonde-haired one. I can't think of their character's name because New Mutants is kind of a smaller comic.
It's one of those things where you can do whatever you.
But it looks like they're going to be faithful to at least the characters. She's going to be Colossus's daughter, and her mutant ability is to be able to go between different dimensions. And one of her big things is that when she goes through different portals and back to their current reality, is that sometimes she brings demons with her, and they're not so nice. And she can turn into one herself at some point in time, but turns back. I'm not entirely sure the depth of her powers, but that's her. But yeah, that's the 5 of the mutants in this film.
I think
it looks.
I think
wicked.
They just didn't want the #person's director's cut.
Oh God, I'm tired of those.
Yes,
you're getting the movie you're getting,
but that's why I think they just we'll go with that.
Yeah.
If they don't want to deal with the original release.
And honestly, I think that's good for the director, right?
Yeah.
Like it gets their original vision out there. So
yeah.
This movie is coming out April.
Hi, Ace Platinum.
Good day.
Good day. Good morning. Good day. Good morning. Good night. Whatever it is in your side of the city,
country,
world, country, city, world. Galactical.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So it's coming out in April.
Yes.
It's very soon.
Yes. I hope they have kids viewing.
Probably not.
Just want a mom and tots version of this movie, please.
The original premise was to have this as an R-rated movie, but it appears like they're just going to be pulling back to an PG-13.
You know what?
And that's fine, I guess.
And there's easier ways to do that. And even in horror movies, you pull back the one scene where like blood spurts and you drop a couple F-bombs.
Or some guys like decapitated or something like that.
And if they can still decapitate a dude, you just can't like physically show it.
Oh yeah. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like it's
yeah.
That it's easy enough to pull back. We see it as evidenced by Deadpool.
All right.
As evidenced by Deadpool 3 or 2, sorry, with the Once Upon a Time.
Are we all firing back? Ah! From your favorite Sons of Queens. That's funny. So yeah, it's good to see it's coming out.
I'm glad that it's finally coming out.
It will be nice that the internet won't be as clamoring for
New Mutants.
A director's cut of New Mutants.
It is probably the better version of this.
And again, like the fact that the director has been like,
okay, let's do this.
Well, yeah, you would be okay with it too if it was your cut.
But again, it's not quite his cut. Like it's 98% his cut, which is good. But that's the piece is like the fact that people have edited it and done stuff to it, and he's still like, I'm A-okay with what they've done. It's basically
his original vision still.
Yeah, it's like, this is the movie I did want to make with just like 2 or 3 little tweaks that don't disturb the movie and don't like, this cut's going to be awesome, guys. Like, if you wanted to see my movie, you are...
I'm glad that this is
pretty much seeing it. Well, and again, because again, with all the stuff we've seen from Star Wars, as much as I liked Star Wars, like, you know...
I liked Rise of the Skywalker.
I liked it, but then you get all the stuff online of like, you know, this is what was supposed to happen, that's what was supposed to happen. You're like, why did they like? okay.
It seems, yeah, it gets to a point where things seem
like,
disjointed.
why not just let JJ do his thing?
Well, I mean, this all started with freaking Justice League.
Oh, sure, and then
Oh, yeah,
the
if you
Snyder
want to
cut
say-
of
yes.
Justice League.
Which I don't know if I want to see his cut or not. I don't know.
I can't remember the other one. It was a terrible movie I didn't want to see anyways. Again. There's another one.
I mean, if you want to go even further, how about Daredevil?
Yeah, but they released that director's cut.
Yes, they did, but
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the piece is like, you hire these people to do stuff, and I mean, Solo will never see what that, because people were kind of wanting that cut too of whatever that movie was.
I think that was
before.
still in development, though. That's not.
No, they had most of their stuff filmed. That's why
Did
Ron
they?
Howard pretty much made that movie in reshoots. Because there was supposed to be a buddy cop movie before that, and it's like,
That's weird.
right, like, and that's why they fired them.
That's weird.
And they were like, it's not like they're bad directors or writers. Like, they've done good stuff.
Yeah.
It's just that the tone wasn't set for. But Kathleen Kennedy from LucasArts or Lucasfilm, sorry, keeps just shooting herself in the foot. Because the one big quote right now is, it's not like Marvel where they have all of these comics and source material to go off of, and everybody's like.
Star Wars has probably more.
And well, so Star Wars, it's like, we have how many books and video games and comics that you can be making stuff off of?
And I mean, like
Yeah.
they clearly did that with Rise of Skywalker when they pulled stuff from the expanded universe into the movies.
Sure, like the Emperor coming back was definitely
Emperor coming back with
spoilers. Not really, because he's in the trailers, but like, you know,
with Leia and her Jedi pieces, like that's part of the expanded universe that they brought
Yeah.
back in to the main
They're
universe.
picking and choosing.
they're
yeah.
picking and choosing. But that's the piece is like, Kathleen Kennedy's got to let people do their thing and make some fun movies, and like that's my piece. Is Rise of Skywalker was fun.
Bring
I had fun.
Star-
I had a great time with that movie.
I had
Bring in
fun.
Star
Just-
Killer.
Yeah. I think,
That's what I
and that was the funniest part of watching Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardin's review, because like Kevin Smith's on tour right now for
His movie, yeah, the movie.
which is making gangbusters of money because of this tour, which is totally cool. But he finally got a break, and right as Star Wars came out, so the two of them did their show, and it was like a 2-hour back and forth.
Yeah.
Mark's piece is right. There was a lot of fan service, but to Kevin's point, he's like, that's the part that I absolutely loved.
Mm-hmm.
And like I think we talked about it last week, there's a couple lines where it's like, if you would have put this line in, it would have given people like the fan service and made people happy. So it's like there's pieces that could be fixed, and I'm like, yes,
But that's any movie, though.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
And but that's people nitpick Star Wars so hard. It's like,
And being
you know,
Star Wars being the franchise that it is,
Been around since the 70s.
yes, and again, that's the piece. If you
Have
look at the old Star
people-
Wars movies,
people holding that much,
here's the thing, guys,
they're real cheesy.
they're really cheesy movies.
Yes, they are.
There's a guy
Space
in
wizards.
black armor
Space
who's a
wizard.
space wizard who
Has a light sword and just rips through people.
Right, and in the beginning, he didn't really rip through people.
He
'cause-
chokes your throat by holding his hand out.
Yeah.
How, like, that's really cheesy by today's standards.
Yeah. Like, that's the thing, is I think we'll look at the sequel trilogy in another, 10, 15 years. Like, we're starting to look at the prequel trilogy where it's like, you know what?
No, there were parts about the prequel trilogy that were actually good.
Right.
Darth Maul.
This Darth Maul piece, the Battle of the Fates.
Most of the Jedi stuff is actually good. Even the Senate stuff
I actually like
is...
the political stuff was actually interesting because that's world building.
Right.
That's
like,
world.
that's the-
It shows you a more.
It's the bad acting due to bad directing and
Bad
then
editing.
some bad editing and some bad
CG.
CGI.
Oh,
that
bad.
ends
CGI
up-
is probably the biggest criminal.
Right, like that's the piece is like the story, and that's why Clone Wars is such a huge thing, is because they nailed down the story. They got good directors in to direct these things, and it's like, yeah.
And then you have lines like, "I hate sand; it gets everywhere."
And then his lightsabers get buried.
That was the best. Yeah, I know. I love that one online where it's like you see Anakin's lightsaber
Faces.
going into sand, and yeah, his Force Ghost appears just like,
It's everywhere. It's all in the
I
grass.
found that one because you talked about that one. That was
That's
good.
clever.
Good.
Anakin's all upset. No!
My lightsaber. So, yes, New Mutants.
It's coming up.
Original cut,
Yes.
original film piece. Looking forward to it. I still will be.
In some weirder news from Disney, some directors are quitting some projects.
Correct. So the bigger one is Scott Derrickson.
Yes.
Did I get his name right?
I
Yeah,
think so.
I
think
looked
so.
it up. You got it.
Yeah, Scott Derrickson. He masterminded and directed the first Doctor Strange.
Mm-hmm.
He was on board for
Doctor Strange 2.
Doctor Strange 2, something of madness,
Multiverse of Madness.
Multiverse of Madness. It is now since he's left the project, but he's staying on as an executive producer. So it was more of an amicable split due to directorial
disagreements.
Yeah.
So I think what happens here is WandaVision is supposed to lead into Multiverse of Madness, so there was probably some, you have to make this happen, you have to make this happen, and then Kevin Feige also came out and said it's not a horror movie.
It's going to be a movie with scary elements. And I think Scott's understanding was he wanted
to make a
horror movie. And so, and it's early enough in production that it's not a big deal at the moment.
Sure, it's not going to
I don't think
affect.
it's started filming yet.
No, they haven't even really gotten the script down, I don't think. So. I mean, if anything, WandaVision is on track right now.
They're filming WandaVision.
So, which apparently, I guess you guys talked about it last week, I presume.
No, because we talked about lists from the decade because there was almost no news last week. So
presumably, WandaVision will be a 2020 release. I called it.
It's going to be. Well, that's I looked it up because it was going to be my most wanted to watch.
Soothsayer.
Thing.
I'm a soothsayer.
I loved because we have, of course, our group chat, and I put the link to the actual tweet, and then 2 hours later, Brian's like, so no sources have confirmed yet, or I can't confirm sources, but like WandaVision's coming out this year, and it's like sources 2 posts up, dude.
Can I change my decision? Can I change my? I could change it back because
Yeah, you can. I'll let you.
Either way, so yeah, WandaVision leading into Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Presumably, that sounds like the most logical thing.
Yep.
Having those two.
Oh, sure.
Yep. I would at this point. I would be very surprised if Benedict isn't on track to film any pieces for the Disney Plus show.
Probably.
Oh, I'm assuming.
Like if that's his last. Like the last scene is Doctor Strange coming in doing his strange thing, and it's like we got a movie to do over here. I need you over there.
Exactly.
Yeah, something weird.
Quick, let's get off the small screen.
Yeah. Thanks for your work here. We need you over there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would be surprised if Benedict didn't make a cameo appearance in that show.
Yeah. No, not surprised at all. And I think that a lot of those are in their contracts already, and
again, like Scott said, it's not a. It was an amicable split. He's not leaving the project like some other people did have in the past, like Edgar Wright or.
Yeah. Well, because again, everything is under Feige.
Yeah.
Everybody else before was quitting because of Perlmutter and all of that stuff.
And I'm sure Feige had some saying like, okay, like I understand you want to do this film, we're not doing it anymore, but do you want to be still attached
executive
to it?
Producer who makes money based on how well
Correct.
the film does? Yes, I would like to be attached to a movie that's probably going to make $1 billion. Thank you.
Nowadays,
Yeah, right. You've put the Marvel name on it? Yes, I would like to.
Yeah, I don't. I like, and he might still have a say in that film.
As an executive
so
producer,
like, it's not like he's not going to be making it anymore.
Yeah.
But he could still like, oh, Doctor Strange still has to do this with his hands. Like you make sure he does this with his hands because.
Well, and that's part of a character bible, anyways. At this point, stuff has to happen.
He did it. He did it at the end of the first film. That's fine. So Doctor Strange. I think that's the most excited, or the film that I'm most excited for coming up. Out of everything that's.
I'm very interested in Shang-Chi.
I don't know where that's going right now.
We're getting a martial arts movie out of Marvel.
We're getting the Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah.
It's disappointing. Because when is Shang-Chi? 2022? 21?
21, 22? I don't know.
Okay, so I would like to, in the back of my mind, I would like Marvel to figure out what they're doing with the TV characters. Because I would really like to see Ming-Na in that movie. But, of course, she already has a character role in the MCU, but she doesn't have a character role in the MCU.
Yeah.
So I'd like them to figure out what they're doing with the TV stuff.
She's not comic book.
But if that's the case, then we could see a repurposed version, her as an actor, or actress rather, in another role in this movie. Because I think she would be great in that, in Shang-Chi. It's unfortunate she already has... And of course, we're not going to ever see like the legalese behind character roles because we've seen that before in the past with Daredevil, with that one scene in Iron Man. No.
Yep.
The Civil War, where there was a character in the Daredevil series that.
Well, sure, but one of the main villains from Luke Cage is going to be Blade. Like
correct.
they're
like
repurposing TV
characters.
characters they haven't done
and of course,
before.
we'll never see the tell-all of how that kind of stuff works. Like, can you be 2 roles if you're on the TV and then in the movies? Like,
yes.
But now that they're unifying everything into this TV and movie universe, finally, like, how What does that do? What does that work for the Netflix characters? What does it, or actors? What does it do with like the ABC actors who are on like Runaways, who are on Cloak and Dagger?
The only person who
Shield, or even
can't be repurposed is pretty much Coulson, because he's Coulson.
I would say even I can't think of her name. Carter.
And Agent Carter. Agent Carter,
probably.
Agent Carter,
yeah.
Because they appeared in the movies first and then moved their way over. But yeah, anybody who appeared on TV first is essentially
is it possible for
them to reprise, or not reprise, but come up with a different role.
Because I would love to see her in that movie. That would be amazing. Yeah. And I think she would be 100% down if possible.
So yeah, no, it's exciting to see. Well, like I say, the next batch of Marvel movies is pretty cool. Like, because even Thor...
different.
I think Thor's a known quantity of, like, what is going on, but let's keep going.
Well, and it's Taika, so it's like, I'm stoked. Like, this is cool. I'm down.
I'm so good. Like, his stuff is really
But the rest of it is all, like, the Eternals is unknown to us. Like, it's essentially
Shang-Chi.
Guardians of the Galaxy coming at us again, where we're like,
what do
we expect? But
yes.
This should be fun.
What do you expect, yes.
Yeah, Shang-Chi, where we're getting a martial arts movie. A Doctor Strange, where we're getting a movie with, scary elements in it. So, horror light.
Horror light.
Yeah.
Horror like.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. Like, they're switching up the genres, which is, again, where people have problems with Star Wars, where the books and comics did all these different genres, and the movies just keep kind of going down.
I would love to see what they would do with a Star Wars film that was a horror or a scary movie.
Sure, and they could.
I would love to see
we
that.
We got that at the end of Rogue One, where there's a dark hallway and Darth Vader going.
No, that was just more. That was just more like flexing. That was Darth Vader flexing.
But that's like if you had a whole movie where someone's being hunted by Darth Vader, like you could essentially do a quarantine-esque type movie where there's a guy stuck on it. Yeah.
It'd be over quick.
No, it wouldn't be.
He's strong with the Force. He would sense them.
I think if you do Star Wars stuff, you don't do Jedis. I think you just do.
But that's what I mean. Like do a
straight alien kind of piece.
Sure, do a horror movie. It's a western. It's a spaghetti western.
Correct. Like
they almost had a horror.
They almost had a horror, except he was the
That's fine.
Yeah, they reversed it. It was great, but
Batman. Batman. I'm Batman.
Then behind
him. I'm the man. I'm Batman.
Either way, and then the other director / showrunner that's leaving, Lizzie McGuire, the Disney Plus show,
which is the biggest weirdest piece about it is halted development on this show.
Well, because she was an executive producer as well as showrunner, and she has left the show due to creative differences on the Lizzie McGuire reboot show on Disney Plus, which again might not be huge for us, but Lizzie McGuire does have a big enough following that there are people that got Disney Plus
just
for Lizzie McGuire.
You talk about our generation and people who watched the Lizzie McGuire show. Like my wife watched it, her sister watched it.
Yep.
Like they
cousin,
were excited for it.
My cousin is and hopefully still is stoked for Lizzie
and I mean,
McGuire.
like that's not to say that you can't watch those old shows, but they definitely don't age well. So they don't age well. Don't lie. Don't kid yourself. They don't. I've watched it.
But that's Disney Channel. They all look like that, so they all age the exact. It's like Boy Meets World.
Oh, that was bad too.
Boy Meets World is an amazing television show.
Oh, it's great. It
ages perfectly. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Actually, the crap they pulled on that show would not fly in today's day and age, which is pretty cool. Because there was a whole show on racism, and all of a sudden they drop and again I won't say it because we'll get kicked off of YouTube for it, but he's derogatory towards an Italian person, and legit uses the word, and they dropped that on ABC Friday Night Family.
When was that show? Anyways,
1990.
The mid 90s, right?
Yeah. Somewhere in the mid 90s, and they drop that word, and the kid gets pissed off, and he's like, right, so I'm saying it not out of malice, and yet people are just using it, and you're like, whoa, way to hit home with.
Yeah. I mean, it's like watching Fresh Prince and then watching that one episode where that episode he got pulled over.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of those though.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that hits
realistically.
Yeah.
Of how they dealt.
And the only shows that can get away with those now are the ones that are on AMC and HBO and all of that stuff, because they can still.
They answer to no one.
Right.
Well, use those words.
Well, we're watching Shameless right now, so season 9, and there's 2 boys that were selling lemonade kind of in front of this one lady's house, except they're African American kids, and the lady's this kind of, she's trying to move into this Chicago
Wow.
neighborhood and fixed up the house and all of this stuff and calls the cops. And because there's 2 kids selling lemonade on the front street and the cop shows up like, what's the problem? And then like the neighborhood gets together because it's like this white lady kicked these 2 black kids off the front of her curb, and you're like,
See, I feel like Brooklyn Nine-Nine
Brooklyn Nine-Nine did good.
It was, yeah, their one episode was very nice.
Yeah.
But I think their last season was a little too
But again, like they still don't like they
preachy.
touch on stuff.
It felt a little
Still
preachy.
comedy.
It felt a little preachy.
They touch on stuff, but they don't like it's not like anybody called Terry the N-word.
No, not that episode. I mean the last season with.
I
Like,
know,
the
but I'm
Me
just
Too
saying,
piece, with,
I'm just saying, like, you know, essentially, that's what this episode of Boy Meets World was trying to do, and it's a show that was meant for
kids
kids,
after hours,
and they're
after
dropping,
school.
like, like they're dropping, you know, the W word, as I guess I could say it, so we don't get, you know,
Women's.
yes, yeah. So you're just sitting there going like, damn, like kudos, you guys. But either way, the Lizzie McGuire show has also been. It's been put on hold till they can obviously find
I'm sure they'll figure something.
a new showrunner and this and that and everything. And again, that's just my
Can Hilary Duff not do it? Can she not?
showrun.
Yeah,
I don't think
her
so.
own like she should know what that show is, right?
Yeah, she should know. But
Is that okay?
can she
I guess
do
it's
it?
a faux pas. Is it?
No, it wouldn't be faux pas.
Like for the lead actor
No, I
or
mean-
actress to show run their own show.
No, they
I
can.
don't know.
Like Ryan Reynolds does it essentially with Deadpool.
Yeah, but that's a different story though. Like
She could
like,
do it.
It depends
it's-
on like if she doesn't have writing chops, then no. Like
Okay.
she
Yeah.
has to be able to carry a whole story for a season.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and again, this is has Disney stepped in and gone, this is the show we want, as opposed to letting the creator of Lizzie McGuire essentially do her own thing.
Yeah, it's just surprising to see that.
Like, this is one of those ones where you go, oh, Disney, like, unless they were taking her in a, like, now she works at a, you know, porn studio and, like that I can see them canceling. Like, I can see them going like, whoa, not the direction we want to head. You know, we don't want...
We already have Hilary Duff with no clothes on.
We don't... Like, we don't want...
We save so much on budget on costuming.
Exactly. Like, we don't want to go in that direction. We'd like to go in this direction instead. Like, I can see that.
Yeah.
But
Again,
not...
we'll never know.
We'll never know at this
Like
point.
these-
Unless the showrunner really gets pissed off and comes out and
Yeah, goes on like
starts talking shade.
on Blogspot.
Yeah.
WordPress. It's just some WordPress post from the director.
Yeah. So there you go. Last bit of news.
Last bit of news: the
Take it
Pokemon Direct, surprisingly came out and said like we're gonna do a 20-minute long reveal of what's coming up for the Pokemon series.
And apparently the live one was weird.
Which one?
It started partway. I was reading something. It started partway through and ended early because it looped kind of funny or something.
I
weird
watched
happened.
all of it in one piece, like on live, so it wasn't an issue for me.
I didn't watch it.
I didn't watch. I watched.
I was under the weather that day actually, so I was. This is convenient for me.
I watched. I watched the stuff at like when they re-upload it.
Yeah.
Because like
Oh
that's
yeah,
the
you
thing
watch
that-
always. The best way to do it is watch it when it's re-up because the stream was definitely a little choppy.
Yeah, like someone said online, like it started weird. Like they started at the wrong because they schedule it to start.
Yeah, so I actually watched it and it started right on time for me.
Yeah.
Because I was also playing Pokemon, weirdly enough, before that.
Yeah.
And so the first big piece is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon is coming back as the most text confusing title you've ever seen. It's like
Oh, I know.
Pokemon Rescue Dungeon DX, and
Yes.
each like piece is like a different font, and it is the most like most unpleasing part of that entire announcement. But the game actually looks incredibly cool. It is all this.
Well, because it's just the mystery dungeon game, but
It's-
now done with the
yes,
the,
but
the new
watercolors.
models
It's got a more watercolor look to all of the animation and cell
Yeah.
shading. They are including some new elements like Mega Evolution, Z-moves, and I don't think they're going to do Dynamaxing in this game, but it looks amazing. It's because they talked about like having this old game like back in 2006 where you had the DS game and the Game Boy Advance game,
Yeah.
and you would have to have both of them to have a complete experience. Well, they didn't want to do that this time. They just wanted to have one Mystery Dungeon game because we've had that in the past where there's Mystery Dungeon Red and Mystery Dungeon Blue. I think like 2 or 3 generations of dungeon games. This is just one solid one. You can get the demo now, and as in Nintendo tradition, your save file will transfer over to the full game when it comes out. I want to say June or something like that this year. This year. So that's super cool. I haven't had a chance to really get into that because I've been finishing up the main game from Sword and Shield. But the big thing is that Sword and Shield,
it's getting DLC.
It's getting an expansion pass DLC. Yes. And I think they opened the presentation up with saying, like, normally we do, you know, the Pokemon Yellow, the Pokemon Crystal, Emerald, Platinum. We usually do that kind of like the middle game. They acknowledge that sometimes they do that in the past. They don't want to go in that direction anymore. Mm-hmm. It sounds like they want to use Pokemon Sword and Shield as a platform to create further expansions on top of that. Yep. So rather than charging us $60 every year for the sidestep game like Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, or Black White and Black 2, they're just going to charge us the $30 or $40 for us here in normal people money for an expansion to the current game. Yep. And it sounds like they're going to be that's the direction they're going to go on for the foreseeable future until we do another generation. Yeah.
Right.
So, and I think this is the right move.
Yes.
Like, this is correct, like 100% the correct move to do. Just because it's like there were so many complaints about Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and I definitely reflect those as well. That I bought it, but I didn't want to play the main game again.
Right.
Like just to experience the new content.
Well, that's always been the case, even with like Crystal and stuff. It's like, it's the same game, but we've added like 3 new things.
Right.
Be happy about it. And it's like, why didn't I just wait for Crystal?
Right. Like with Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, I think I got halfway through and I'm like, and I was like realizing, like, I'm using the same team as I did in Sun and Moon. I'm like, what am I doing here?
It's the same game with.
I will put it as an addendum though. Like Black 2 and White 2 were the first actual sequels. Like they were actually the biggest like change because they changed all the gym leaders, most of them. I think they kept 1 or 2 the same.
Yeah.
It literally took place after the events of the Black and White, which was actually really, really cool. And on top of that, they addressed the issue of like, because Unova, when Black and White came out, you couldn't catch any old Pokemon.
Right.
It was all 100 and I want to say 30 or 140 brand new Pokemon in the Unova region, which was, I think, was very, very cool because you got to experience brand new Pokemon like from the ground up, and then you got to catch the old Pokemon after that. Black 2 and White 2, they just solved that by saying, "Fuck it, we just catch everything you want." So Black 2 and White 2 are the only sort of sub games that I recognize as sort of like actual sequels and actual like worth getting if you've already bought the original. So with Sword and Shield, we're getting expansion passes for part 1 and part 2 for both Sword and Shield. The first one is the Isle of Armor, which is an island separate next to Galar. Yeah. And it sounds like you will be able to catch more Pokemon that you couldn't catch in the Galar region. So not only
200, wasn't it?
Yes.
With both of these passes, yes.
So
or both of the expansions.
Pass 1 is Isle of Armor, and the Pass 2 or Pack 2 is the Crown Tundra,
something like that. It's wintry.
Wintry. And so between the 2 packs, you will be able to catch 200 more Pokemon, whether they're old or even possibly even new Pokemon. They might even be adding more to the Galar decks that we don't know. So it sounds like they are definitely addressing the whole, we didn't put everyone in the original game. I get like a lot of people, I admit that there are a lot of people that, have that issue. But honestly, like, I think this is the direction that I think they wanted to go from like the get-go.
And that's the only thing that makes me kind of go, why didn't you just tell us there was DLC coming? And because the nice part about this too is even if you don't buy the DLC.
So the nice thing is if for example, if you guys for some reason wanted to buy Sword and Shield now and you don't want to buy the expansion pass, like my wife and I were like, we were on board. We're getting this. And so if we
because the DLC is a great idea for Pokemon.
Oh, so good. If we catch like a Nidoran male, and you guys can't catch a Nidoran male, we can trade you that Nidoran.
Well, from what I've read, we can also transfer from our Pokebank stuff up to...
So, and someone did a very, very nice infographic on the Pokemon subreddit of like how like if you own the eShop versions on your 3DS for Crystal, Sword, or
goes
Crystal...
to the bank, goes to Pokemon Home, goes to Sword and Shield.
Into Sword and Shield. So this Pokemon Home is gonna work, essentially.
And that was
Pokemon Home
because again that was the fear of not including all of the Pokemon in this game was like I'm gonna have Pokemon just sitting in my Pokemon Home that I can't even transfer back to the Pokebank to put into my old games.
And so that stuff will eventually work.
That's why that's what makes me laugh though is it's like couldn't you just because that was the piece. Yeah, everybody was like, if you update the games later, we're totally cool. If it's gonna take you time to like.
And I think they
adding Pokemon
they said
in.
they were gonna do that. It's just I think they said they were.
They never did.
Masuda definitely said they were at some point in time we were gonna investigate. The only thing he said, the one thing he did say for certain is that like not everyone will be in Sword and Shield. That's the one. That's his only thing he said for sure.
Wow, and it was every game's gonna have cuts and this and that. Right. Like your Pokemon might come in. The Pokemon you like might be in the next generation of Pokemon. That's what the thing was, and everybody's like, legit, we're cool if you just patch the game and put the Pokemon in slowly. Like that would be neat. And
I think this is their answer to like
it is. They should have just. Said they could have avoided a lot of stuff if they would have.
There was so much stuff behind the scenes that I'm sure that because they shut off development of. The new Gigantamax forms for Venusaur and Blastoise, and it's like my impressions from that is this doesn't seem like a response to that. It just seems like that was their plan to begin with,
right?
Because all that stuff seems so far in development that this stuff,
for sure.
Pack 1 is coming out in like 2 or 3 months,
right? But then again, that's my thing is your social media team should have been on, like your PR team should have been on top of that instead of having that giant explosion. Just like guys, we're planning updates.
I think
and.
It sounds like after was it E3 that year?
Yeah.
That the news dropped that the national dex wasn't coming in.
Yeah.
They were doing damage control by saying like Masuda, you can't talk.
Pretty much.
Right now, Ishihara we're not gonna work on the game.
They went silent, which again is.
It's development.
It's not a bad thing to do, but then if that's the
because then like there's nothing you can backtrack on.
Correct. So that's the piece is like
so if they said something wrong or inaccurate to development or something they you can't promise something if you can't say anything.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. So, but that's just the piece is like, and this is cool, and I mean this Pokemon game still just isn't. I don't know. I
think you guys need to really give the Gigantamax battles a little bit of time because that's actually really cool.
It's not even the Gigantamaxing. I don't feel this game is a Switch game. I still feel like it's a powered up 3DS game, which
this is exactly still what I wanted in a Pokemon game, and I know that I've in discussions with some Pokemon people in the community. They're like, this is it. Like this is what we wanted. We understand that there were dex cuts for various reasons. If certain Pokemon were able to Dynamax or Gigantamax, it would break the video game format.
Sure.
Like 100%. Like you don't want to have a Rayquaza that can Dynamax. That's a bad idea. That Rayquaza is already the most powerful Pokemon in the VGC. You don't want him bigger. Is the big piece.
Sure you do.
I want them all.
But yeah, I have to like the DLC part of this is one of those like Pokemon should have been doing this.
Because we were talking about this with Mario Kart 8 for the longest time.
Yeah, just keep releasing DLC and
like
I'll keep buying.
Not even just DLC, but just like updates and using the base game as a platform.
Yep, and then just keep.
Kind of what like Fortnite does, I guess, for the lack of a better.
Sure, but again, like, and I understand like something because I don't want necessarily microtransactions.
And I don't think you'll ever see that in a Pokemon game.
No, but that's my thing. Like even Mario Kart, I would $20, $40 every year.
Yeah.
I would drop it for new carts and new tracks. Like I don't even need new carts at this point, but new tracks, I would drop money because there's someone that has to legitimately build those tracks.
And so with these new packs as well, they're adding new areas to the game and. There is a wild area in the base Sword and Shield game where you essentially get to play with other people playing the game online.
Yep.
So you can interact with them, you can talk with them, you can do max raid battles with them, and it's a pretty big area. I wouldn't say it's the biggest area I've seen.
The new areas though are supposed to be like
double their size almost.
The whole area is supposed to be
like
pretty much
of one pack is going to be like this giant wild area, but in this Isle of Armor.
And from what I read, the second one you actually can like co-op.
So you could always co-op in Sword and Shield with the max raid battles.
I know,
but it sounds
this
like
one it sounds like you actually get to.
There's not much known about it at the moment.
Yeah.
They said they're gonna be because how max raid battles work is that in the wild area there's these little power spots.
Yeah, and you go into them. You
go into them and you can fight the big Gigantamax Pokemon and you come back out. It sounds like in Pack 2 with the
You'll
Crown
get to
Tundra,
do more stuff.
you actually go into the dens and actually adventure around with your friends in those areas, which is a really, really cool idea because
that's amazing.
You introduce this max, like the max raid battles in these dens. It's a cool concept, and then they build on top of that further down. And then they've also said, or the directors have also mentioned that this expansion pass that we have, like this is just like one expansion pass that we have.
Right, it's expansion pass 1.
Like we have other stuff in the works, and I think that's incredibly exciting to know that down the line, like next year, I don't have to buy Super Sword, Super Shield.
Correct.
I don't have to buy.
That's the nicest part of it, especially now that it's an $80 game.
Right.
For again, not $60 American, but like that's the piece, and everybody agrees with that online. They're like, I no longer have to spend $60 on a game that is essentially the same game,
and I don't have to start from over either. Like, like the biggest drag about those side update games was like it's a cool update to the base game, but if you played the first one,
well, and I love like the new read. So then now that's the next big thing. Like, I want, and even if it is a more expensive DLC, but I mean, in what
I think
silver and gold, we got like
you got a whole new region.
We got Johto back, right?
Right.
Like that would be an insanely cool DLC.
How
cool, all of a sudden if they're like now Johto and you can go and fight the
go back to Kanto again.
And stuff, and it
people all like there is a lot of love for
scales
Kanto.
to your well of course there is because
like
most of us started there.
They're even releasing new forms for the bird Pokemon, the legendary bird Pokemon.
Yeah, I saw that.
Or Articuno Moltres.
Which confuses me.
It's just another.
Well, they're legendary. They're not supposed to have other forms.
You don't know that.
Yeah.
You don't know
it's
that.
Like
legendaries.
Yeah, but they can write anything.
It's supposed to be very like super rare.
Well, so now these ones are super duper rare.
It could be. So you don't know that.
Not really.
They could be just Gigantamax forms of them too.
Or that.
It could be that.
Wouldn't that be overpowered?
Super duper.
But then, so the nice thing about VGC is that they can always just ban Pokemon.
Which they're gonna have to because that was the other pieces at the end of the trailer. They showed something.
All the legendary Pokemon from the past games are gonna be back in the part 2. So you can catch legendary Pokemon.
So that's everybody's like dropping half the decks for like the competitions was.
It was a good idea for the time,
but they're dropping that excuse now, right? Because of like who they're bringing in. But
but that's fine because Landorus was a very another big Pokemon in the VGC. Everyone was worried about now we can catch like a Gigantamax or a Dynamax form of Landorus. So like he's gonna rule the format again.
Yeah.
They introduced a Darmanitan in Sword and Shield. That's actually a Galar version of him. He's an ice and ground type.
So they anti-2.
It's the literal counter to Landorus's current form. So it's like, oh, that's fine. Like that's you want to use your Landorus? Cool. Here's my Galarian Darmanitan. And it's like, cool, get wrecked.
So no, and like the new expansion stuff, like it is starting to add stuff that is boosting it up to that next step. So
absolutely.
At this point, I'm gonna just wait for like all the expansion passes to come out and then see what happens.
I can see them doing
free eventually.
No.
I thought they were.
There's pieces of it that are like,
so if you just pick up Sword and Shield now,
and
then when the expansion passes come out, you can still get those like the old Pokemon that you used to use.
200 like those 200 new Pokemon that
you can get those still.
You're
getting a free update for the base like Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
So you can trade.
You can't go to the new regions though.
You can't go to the new regions or catch them in your current game.
Yes.
But you can transfer
trade them
in from a friend or Pokemon Home.
Yeah.
Whatever the services that is going on.
I don't think I've ever used those home or banks or.
I have my Pokemon Bank.
Yeah, Pokemon Bank is literally the easiest.
I always started from scratch.
Pokemon Bank is like the cheapest, like service.
$1 a year.
It's $20 a year. That's less than like $5 a month. It's less than NSO, which is crazy. But we are I know, at least my wife and I are incredibly excited for this.
It's a very cool move for Pokemon.
It's intriguing.
It's the right move, honestly.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
100%. Like,
in the world of DLC now, releasing a game that's almost identical.
Yes.
With a couple changes is stupid.
Yeah, you can't do that anymore. Like,
and I think they found that with Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, is people were like.
Yeah, the only reason I can guarantee the only people that actually bought that game were people who are curious, like, okay, or people who are in VGC. Sure. Because in VGC, you need to have that
most updated version.
You need to have that most updated. It's unfortunate that those competitive people need that.
But again, now you can get just the DLCs and keep. Yeah. No, I love the DLC idea of things.
It's so much cheaper.
Yeah.
And in the world where you need, NSO, like Nintendo Switch Online, to go into competitive formats. Like it's just, it makes a little more sense.
And again, seeing like this multiplayer piece to it, like how well they do that intrigues me, because that's what like I kind of wanted out of the base game.
There is that in the wild area. It's not, I know it's not what you guys are expecting, but I think it's a great addition to Sword and Shield.
But that's my piece, is like
Pokemon.
So with this expansion, if it builds on that and makes something really cool out of it, that's where I start getting more intrigued, because it's like, now this is making the steps that I was expecting it to take in the first place. So, I'll just wait for
things on my plate right now.
And I know that this part of the discussion is like, do we delay Sword and Shield for all this stuff, or do we? Because I don't think Sword and Shield would have been out then in November. So the way the timing works for Pokemon competitive, the league, is that it has. I think they have until August. What's before August?
July.
So yeah, June, July is usually the last couple months you can make your points, I guess, for Worlds. So if Sword and Shield came out around June or July, or it wouldn't make it into Worlds.
Yes, and like,
which is their big push. That's why this game probably came out when it came out.
Well, you have animes to do. You have
anime. You got card game. You've got market. You got marketing. You've got it's coming on November. You have to have a December release or something, right?
That's the problem with the multifaceted piece of Pokemon. They had to have a game out.
There are so many things that are so integral to the video game that people don't actually realize. If you pulled someone off of the street, they don't realize how many things like interact. Like, we're getting a Sword and Shield card game or expansion pass in like a couple weeks, right. And so if we didn't have the video game to coincide with it wouldn't work.
Yeah,
it just wouldn't work.
No, and that's understandable.
So like I say, there's reasons why cuts happen to happen.
Yeah,
for Sword and Shield to come out then,
and I get that.
And they're working on making a bigger game now.
Yes.
So, in the right direction.
Well, and then again, people online were like, now they're making me pay to finish that. I'm like, no. They're adding stuff for free.
Right.
The regions I completely understand paying for, because again, someone has to program and build, design,
and balancing. Right. Balancing is the big piece.
Well, but like that part I understand. They're giving you the Pokemon for free, essentially.
Right.
Because again, anybody who's bitching is really just like, I can transfer my Pokemon up.
You could. If you put the legwork in, you could get a Pokemon from the DS cart all the way into Sword and Shield.
Which is like and that's my thing, is like I've been moving
I've done
them
that.
Every generation I keep moving them up.
That was a long afternoon.
So that's why the National Dex piece of it was like, I've done all of that for nothing. Now they're adding them back, and like they say, they're adding them for free, which is cool. So yeah, I'm down with the DLC, because I love the fact of extra regions and all of that.
Yeah,
stuff.
Using Sword and Shield as a new platform for the foreseeable future until the new generation, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and in all honesty, again, next generation, you can honestly just call it Pokemon.
You know what?
DX or something, like just basic subtitle.
We just don't need to have Pokemon Gun, essentially.
Yeah. But that's the piece, is like now would be a good time for the next generation to be like, okay, Pokemon. Nothing crazy, and then just DLCs.
I still think they do two.
They'll still do two, because that's
that's Pokemon.
So Pokemon XD and Pokemon DX. Bam! Nailed it.
No. I don't know what they do.
Nailed it. Or you release one and then go, if you pay us another, like, whatever, you can get the other game, but they actually, like, sync up so you're not playing two different games, because that would be cool too as a DLC.
I think that's their next problem that they need to figure. I don't even think it's a problem. It's just another thing that there are a lot of people that buy both versions.
Oh sure.
Still, a lot of people that buy both versions just so they can catch between the two of them. But now with the onset of going online and trading with people,
like the double thing never made sense to me after online trading.
Going back to the Sun and Moon, though, I bought Sun and then I bought Ultra Moon, so it was all. That's what I did.
But now you don't even need to do that.
Right.
So
like you haven't needed to do that since. And yeah, that's the nice piece, is we don't have Ultra Moon to buy anymore. Now the expansion pack is just everybody
or Super or whatever.
Like you all get the same second game, I guess. Like
and they did clarify as well. Like if you buy the sword and Sword expansion pass, the matching expansion pass, you're still going to get exclusive Pokemon that you can only catch in the Sword version as well as the Shield version.
Yeah.
So
because you're both getting the same new region, right?
You're getting the same new region.
Yeah, there's just going to be different
differences.
Still.
So, for example, Nidoran male might be in Sword, and Nidoran female might be in Shield, or something like that.
Yeah.
Keep them separated.
And like I say,
Romeo and Juliet.
That's the next piece that I think, they really have to look at dropping is the two different versions of the game. And I mean,
I don't know how they solve that. I don't know how they solve that right now. But
and I don't know. That's
for people who make more money than I to figure out.
Yeah.
But I think that is the next step. Is especially now with DLC, it's like,
right?
Why do we have two base games now? Make one base game and even just different DLCs that you're like, oh, I want to go to this region, I'll pay it and go to this region, and then I'll pay to go to this region, and then And I mean, diehards will go to.
Yes, exactly. But it's also it's still worthwhile. Like, but by the time Sword and Shield expansion, say 2 or 3 is done, like there's gonna be over 1,000 Pokemon.
Oh sure.
It's gonna be nuts, and programming and balancing for 1,000 some odd Pokemon is gonna be nuts.
Yeah.
So it's just like the
paying the big bucks.
Super Smash Brothers issue with Kirby is such a big deal with Sakurai. He's like, I don't want to make more characters because I made Kirby do this one thing one time.
They keep doing it.
So it's programming video games is hard, guys.
Yes, it
So why you pay them the big bucks?
Yep. And that's why they're a multi-billion-dollar company.
Pokemon expansion pass.
Very cool.
1 and 2. Part 1's due out in June, I believe, and then part 2 is due out in fall of this year. So by the end of this year, you will get both packs, essentially.
Yes. And then next year we'll get
expansion pack 2. But that's very likely we'll get expansion pack 2.
Yeah.
Next year.
Oh,
very likely.
I wouldn't doubt it. And then they'll add the remaining.
Yeah, they'll add another 100 Pokemon or 150 or whatever like that.
Yep.
And this still gives them the room to add even brand new Pokemon, because even with the Pack 1 and Pack 2, they're introducing already 2 new legendary Pokemon.
Yeah.
The Pack 1 introduces something called Kifubu or something like that, and then basically it's a bear. It's a little like cub bear that you're training up in this dojo, and depending on which version you have, he'll evolve into a different form.
Yeah.
And then in Pack 2, they haven't really talked about what that Pokemon is, but it looks like a cross between a Pokemon and something from Zelda.
March 6th is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon.
Yes, so that's exciting. I'm excited for that game purely on its art style alone. I've never really liked Mystery Dungeon games, but it looks so cool visually. It's very something fresh and something different for the Pokemon franchise.
Yeah.
Because the Mystery Dungeon games have always been their way of flexing different art styles.
I'm looking for a date.
There's no actual date. It's just July.
Okay.
June or July. A month that starts with J. That's not January.
June.
That's not
July.
Eh.
It's a June or July or something like that. And then fall for
February.
part 2.
February.
We'll see you guys in February.
Excellent. Oh, there's a list of the returning Pokemon.
Yeah, because it was in the trailer. So like,
April.
you've got Garchomp, you've got Dedenne, Lycanroc, the Nidoran male.
Psyduck's coming back.
And on top of that, there's a new Galarian form for Slowpoke, which looks super cute. It's basically just Slowpoke with a yellow forehead and a yellow tail, and someone already made a comic like, Slowpoke's like, I want to get into Sword, I want to get into Galar. Someone, the Smeargle's like paints him with like yellow, and is like, go.
I know, they're like,
how do you get into Galar region?
Someone complained that it's like, that's the laziest update ever, and they're like, for the laziest Pokemon ever. Because if you think about it, if Slowpoke's going to evolve or adapt to a new region, he's going to do it real slow.
Yep.
So I'm like,
and
I'm down with that one. That one's actually
and they've already teased that Slowpoke will evolve differently, but depending on Sword and Shield, depending on which Sword and Shield you get. Because right now you can catch that Galar Slowpoke in Sword and Shield. You can do that already, which is very, very cool.
Yes, they've unleashed him.
Unleashed the Slowpoke. I've already caught mine, so.
There you go.
Cool.
Yeah, no, I think the DLC route is the exact way to go.
We cannot be happier.
Yep.
I cannot be happier. Well, I mean, I can be, but not that kind of happier. For Pokemon.
For Pokemon. Yeah. So there you go.
Thanks for joining us on our big show today.
Yeah.
If you liked what you saw here, join us in about 5 minutes.
Yes.
Yep.
We'll see you in about 5 minutes for the post-credit show.
show.
What do we do there?
We talk about games we've
Movies.
watched, or games we've played, movies we've watched, and other sort of
Things in between.
nerd junk we've done.
Everything else in between. We'll see you guys in about 5,
Yes.
where we refresh things.
Check out barrelnews.com, like, subscribe, and all of that jazz.
Smash it!
Bye!